Welcome to EventUp, the place where people enthusiastic about events stay in the know on the latest trends within the events industry. Live, hybrid, and virtual experiences. From virtual events to conferences, award galas, and everything in between. Here's your host, Amanda Ma.
Welcome, everyone. Today's guest is someone who's not just building events, he's building moments. Joining us today is Jimmy Knowles, Global Head of Experiential at Canva. You guys all heard of that amazing brand that just really glow up, I said. Jimmy leads the vision behind Canva's most iconic brands moments like Canva Create and the company's bold debut at Cannes Lions. Before Canva, he spent over a decade crafting award-winning campaigns for top brands like Airbnb, Disney, Meta. Jimmy brings a culture-first, community-driven approach to experiential marketing on a global scale. It's such a pleasure to have you with us today, Jimmy. Welcome to our show.
Hey, Amanda. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, we finally got you to come. So thank you for saying yes. I know you're super busy, but I also just know how much value and how much our audience would enjoy your insights.
Well, thank you for being persistent. I was so glad that we could finally make something happen. I'm really excited to be here.
You know, Canva has been doing a lot of big things. I'm seeing you guys everywhere, right? And of course, you're the magician behind it all, you and your team. And you have Canva has such a distinct voice and also visual identity. How do you translate all of that into like a physical or even virtual experiences that is truly unique Canva?
Yeah, it's honestly been one of the most rewarding and one of the most challenging parts about the job. So I have the distinct honor of being the first person in the role, in this experiential role at Canva. So it was a really unique opportunity to start from scratch a little bit and think about how the Canva brand comes to life. What does it look like to see, to feel, to taste, to touch Canva, all of these things. And it's been an incredibly rewarding process, and it's been incredibly intimidating at the same time to kind of take, a brand that is at this exceptional phase of growth, like just rocket ship, like buckle up, hang on for dear life, we're going to the moon and back kind of vibes it feels like most days. And yeah, to translate to that real world has been such a uniquely challenging, interesting, exciting, invigorating process, all of these things. And I'm really proud that through the process of building the discipline of experiential internally and through the process of figuring out how the brand comes to life in the real world, it's helped the brand evolve so much. I think some of the most natural extensions and expressions of our brand have been through our experiential. And I'm really proud of what the team has been able to do to help fuel that evolution. It's been really exciting to see and watch. And, when we think about how that happens, for us, it's not just about creating events, right? Like, I think we really think about crafting experiences that feel Canva, that feel uniquely, unapologetically, unmistakably Canva. So whether you're kind of stepping into a physical activation we build or whether you're logging into one of our keynotes, it's really important that every interaction kind of ladders back to our three kind of like core principles of feeling human, empowering, and inspiring. And that mirrors the product, right? It's the exact same thing that we think our product does for the consumer. And when we look at how that comes to life, we do this by like humanizing the product, right? And whether that's hands-on design stations, whether that's learn and play demos, whether that's community spotlights, bringing that human feel to everything we do. Facilitating connection is incredibly important. So designing our spaces to spark conversation, creativity, curiosity, community, and then really delivering on those aha moments, whether that's a rap battle to launch Canva Enterprise famously, which I'm sure we'll touch on at some point, or the tote that you design at the Canva print shop. Everything is really meant to be and made to feel memorable, delightful, and really draw out that emotional response. And our North Star always is, how does this show up in a way that makes people say, that felt like Canva?
And you had several big moments this year, Jimmy. Like, what was the original? One of them is the Canva Create. So I would love to hear, like, what was the original vision behind Canva Create, and how has it really grown or shifted since that initial inception?
Yeah, Canva Create is such an interesting case study. So, Canva Create was really born from a series of events that we hosted internally called our season openers. So, a few years ago when I started at Canva, the company operated in seasons, and it was all according to seasons in Australia. So, spring, summer, winter, fall, which are just like a month or so off from quarters, how, traditionally companies that I've worked with have operated here in the US. So it was very confusing to start. But the point of these season openers was meant to be an internal rallying moment for our teams to celebrate the major wins, to celebrate what we refer to as the crazy big goals that we achieved that past season, and do a look ahead to what the teams are working on, what products we were developing, what new things were happening in marketing. And it became this insanely fun, infectious reflection of our internal culture. They would all be themed. So like my very first season opener was Canva Land. And it was all like Candyland themed. Everybody would dress up. So everyone would usually come in costume. And we've had so many things from like 1920s Great Gatsby themed. We had Adventureland one year. And they just became these moments of like joy and celebration. And again, this kind of internal rallying cry for the team. And I remember distinctly, it was maybe like day 2 or day 3 at Canva, and I was on a call with Zach, our CMO, and he was like, okay, cool. So you're going to get on the company, we call it our sit down. You're going to get on sit down in a couple of days, and Mel wants you to announce Canva Create. And I was like, what is Canva Create? And he was like, no idea, but you're going to build it. And that is how I spent my first 6 months. And, the intention of Canva Create was Mel's desire to take a little bit of that internal culture, that special sauce, that feeling that makes Canva so uniquely Canva, and translate that to what would ultimately be an external facing community event, and a stage for us to launch our biggest products, to make our biggest announcements, to speak to the press, to highlight our community. And that first Canva Create, I spent my first 6 months at Canva building the first Canva Create that we hosted in Sydney at the Horton Pavilion in September 2022. The future is visual was the theme. And it was an internal only event. The IRL audience was only Canvanauts. It was employees that sat in the seats, and everybody came in the sequin blazers and the fun costumes and the rainbow and the glitter. And we got on stage for the first time in a very long time, and, really landed the messaging around the visual suite and Canva's kind of like full suite of products. And it was a real aha moment for the company and a major unlock. And that first Canva Create was so successful. We doubled down 6 months later and did the second Canva Create in Sydney again, brand new era. And, we launched a number of really great products, and we expanded the footprint a little bit. We had a really big after party, and it started to feel more like a festival. And the online response from our community was just so massive that we knew we had something really special here, and we knew we had to expand it, beyond just the 4 walls of Sydney. So we made the strategic decision to bring Canva Create to the US for the first time in 2024. And we hosted Work Redesigned in 2024 at SoFi Stadium for the first time. And there were so many firsts for that event. It was the first time opening the doors to the community. It was our first time selling tickets. It was our first time integrating programming into Canva Create. It was our first time integrating thought leaders. And we took a lot of really big swings in 2024. And it paid off massively. The response from the community was just so overwhelming. And you could very easily see this natural kind of progression from what we did in Sydney. And we felt a little bit of that same energy because, we took a really big swing here when taking the audience from an audience of internal employees, right, who would clap when you wanted them to clap, who laughed at all of your corny jokes. We didn't know how it was going to land with a room full of strangers, certainly folks that were a part of the Canva community, but it was a very vulnerable place to be. And the response from people was just so overwhelming. And people came to that first Canva Create in costume, unprompted. We didn't ask for it. And they dressed up and they wore the sequins and they had the glitter on their face. And it's just been so incredibly invigorating to see the response from the community and to see how a platform like Create has grown and evolved in such a short amount of time. We're headed into our 5th Canva Create in 2026. And yeah, it's just really, I'm so proud of the team, the cross-functional team, for everything that we've done to build the program in the way that we have. It's been amazing.
That's incredible. So last year was your first year. This is your second year here?
2024 was our first year at
Yeah.
SoFi. 2025, this most recent Canva Create, was our second year at SoFi. So we're headed into our
Amazing.
third year back at
Yeah.
SoFi excitedly. And, it just keeps expanding. It keeps getting bigger. We've grown from 3,500 attendees that we sold out in 2024 to just this past year, 4,500 attendees. And next year, we're hoping to scale it even further and make it even bigger and bring more people under the tent.
And tell everybody how many people tune in virtually, because
Yeah. And we had, over 2.5 million registrants, which is crazy. Yeah. When you talk just that kind of response, and I think it's such a testament to the dynamic, colorful, diverse Canva community of people from all different walks of life, educators, students, teachers, administrators, marketers, creatives, solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, small business owners. It truly is just, and walking around the grounds of Canva Create at SoFi Stadium, I see it firsthand, and I have conversations with people that just come from every age group, every background, every kind of profession. It's just such an inspiring thing to be a part of.
it's so incredible. I mean, Canva itself is such a fantastic brand. I'm also a Canva user, but to
Love
be
to
able
hear
to
it.
bring that alive in real life, I think that's something also so special. And it really resonates. That's another thing. Like what you were describing, like the brand's delightful, like all those things. I see it in your work.
Yeah, it's the most important thing we can do, right? And like that's the dream. You want the physical manifestation of the brand to evoke the same feeling that you get when somebody looks at it on a screen or through the computer or in their app. And it's a challenge, certainly. And we've thrown a lot of spaghetti at the wall to see what would stick and what didn't stick. An expression that I love to use because I think it describes perfectly what we're doing and what we're building at Canva. I feel very lucky, fortunate, grateful, all the things to work in an environment where from the tops down, we are encouraged to throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks. We are encouraged to take bold, creative swings and feel very lucky to get to work with a brand that is executing that, I think, so flawlessly and so dynamically. It makes my job very easy.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm totally borrowing that one, Jimmy.
Yeah, please do. Please do.
Okay, so you went from Canva Create and then, of course, the big Cannes Lions, right?
Yeah.
That itself is a massive stage. What was your thinking behind like bringing Canva there this year? And how did that evolution come about? And what were you hoping to achieve this time around?
Yeah, so this was our third year at Cannes Lions. In the past couple of years, we definitely flew under the radar a little bit. We didn't want to come in swinging too hard, right, in a space that we didn't know as well, in an environment that was a little bit foreign to us. So the first couple of years, we had a sales suite with MediaLink, and that was really successful for us. Our sales team was on the ground, selling their hearts out, walking up and down the Quasset every single day, just preaching the gospel of Canva, and more importantly, kind of like talking about Canva Enterprise, which is a relatively new offering for us in a space that we're trying to gain more credibility in. And we've seen so many incredible results coming out of Cannes just the past couple of years. And that's really what inspired us to go a little bit bigger and to, again, take that big creative swing. So this was our first year activating on the Quasset, taking over a beach, the Canva Creative Cabana. And year one was just so successful. Again, the incredibly warm reception from the audience at Cannes and the excitement that you could feel from the community for Canva being there and being a part of Cannes Lions in the way that we showed up and in what we did was so exciting. And, this was our third year also partnering with Variety, which was a really big deal. Every year we would get a villa and we would partner with Variety, and we did the Variety CMO studio. So we would bring in top CMOs from the world's largest brands for intimate conversations on creativity, on the type of work that makes them tick. So this was our first year getting to do that programming live with Variety, which was really special and really exciting, and just bringing it to life in a different format. And I think for me and for the team, when we talked about how we were going to show up at Cannes, we wanted to make sure that we were doing it in a very Canva way. We were continuing to be unapologetically ourselves. We were not changing our personality or changing the tone. I think so often when you talk about brands that operate more in a B2B space, there is this feeling of having to like change your messaging or change your identity, whether you're speaking to B2C or whether you're speaking to B2B. And I am a very strong believer in the sense that you don't have to change your personality or change your identity based on the audience. You know, I know this is cliche, but we very much operate with that business to human, that B to H mentality, and bringing that energy of looking at B2B through a B2C lens. So the way that that manifested itself at Cannes Lions is like, we brought a ball pit, you know, and we like created opportunities for like playfulness and fun and color. And we had a drag queen come out during one of our creative happy hours. We created space for audiences that we felt were underserved at Cannes. You know, for an event that prides itself on being a festival of creativity, creatives are oftentimes overlooked at something like Cannes. There's not a whole lot of spaces that, or there are not a whole lot of places that create space for them in a way that feels intentional and purposeful. So we set out with a mission to make sure that we were doing that. And we were making space for folks like the creatives. You know, celebrating experiential marketers is another thing that was personally really exciting for me and transparently not even my idea. Our CMO, Zach, came to me and he was like, you know, for an event that is literally built on the backs of experiential marketers who are there building this entire experience for everyone for a week, it feels like they're not celebrated. It feels like they're not really given a platform. And yeah, his idea was to host this like recovery brunch for all of the real MVPs of Cannes Lions. And that, yeah, it was just so like, of course, 100% we should be doing that. So we really leaned into these areas where, yeah, we felt like we could bring a lot of value. We felt like we could bring that Canva charm and personality and fun and bubbly creative energy to the Quasset this year. And I'm really proud of everything the team did to bring that to life.
Ready to elevate your next event? Let's chat. Visit Innovate MKG to schedule a game-changing conversation.
And I'm really excited to double down on it next year and hopefully go bigger, better, take more swings. Yeah, it's just a really exciting place to be.
And I was in that ball pit. So I was very grateful I got to experience your work in action, right? Because I obviously follow you for a long time and, you know, just someone I admire from afar. But to be able to experience it in action. And I could tell you, Jimmy, I no longer take like gifts. Like you guys are passing out bags, not gifts, like bags, right? And I'm like, I no longer take bags because everybody's giving out bags. But yours is so cute. And it was like, it was totally vibing. And it was like, okay, I have to take one. Like it was, the whole experience was so well thought out, super playful, lots of hands-on element, like you said. So kudos to you and your team for executing that big moment there.
Oh, thank you. That makes me so happy to hear. I mean, especially on the swag front, I'm a big believer that like, I think giving out swag is so important, right? It's that like take home. It's the thing that you look at after the experience is done to remind you of that emotional connection or that emotional experience that you had. And it's really important for me that we're not just giving out swag for swag's sake, right? It is colorful and intentional and meaningful. And I think we did that really well at Cannes. And I'm excited to, continue to bring out more quirky, fun swag that, you know, hopefully becomes iconic and viral in the same way that the tote bags did, which I was really proud of.
They were awesome. And thank you again for putting together that experiential brunch. Cause like it was such a special moment, right? Like you said, cause so many times these people, they're behind the scenes. So it's really nice to have that. And then looking back, is there anything you would do differently now that the event is over?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think there was anything I would do differently. If anything, there are things that I would do more of, you know, like I think we had a few really, really interesting like brand moments throughout the space, opportunities for folks to get hands-on with Canva to learn a little bit more about the product. I would love to expand upon that in year 2 of us showing up IRL and, think through more thoughtful touch points to get people hands-on, to get people designing. One of our signature tent poles of some of our activations is the Canva Magic Print Shop, right? And like giving people the opportunity to design something and to be able to print and walk away with it on demand. That's something I would love to do at Can, and to get people hands-on in Canva designing. So I think there's tons of opportunity to expand upon that. I'm really excited to create more intentional spaces for communities to gather, whether that's, doubling down on the creatives happy hour that we hosted, or going even bigger with the experiential brunch and welcoming more folks under that umbrella, and just creating space for community, I think, is the most important thing, and an area where we really want to continue to do more. My only regret is not making a bigger ball pit, so hopefully we can see a little bit more of that in year 2 as well. So just tons of opportunity, and the team is already just absolutely buzzing with ideas and things that we want to do and bring to the beach, and shake things up a little bit at Can Lions, do things a little bit differently. I think that's what our brand is all about. And that's the kind of flavor and energy that I like to bring every time we show up somewhere. It's always gives you this feeling of, wait, they're doing what? Or, what are they doing next? Like, I always want people to feel like they can expect the unexpected from us, and to be always pleasantly surprised and delighted by that.
I love that. And I mean, you utilize your space super well. So I'm excited to see what you guys will roll out for next year. And you're right. Canva events is often super playful, so many hands-on elements. How do you kind of approach that building interactivity into your event strategies?
Yeah. I mean, I think the first step is making it feel very personalized. Like for something like Canva Create, we start out that strategic process by looking at the different audience segments, and we create these different personas, right? Whether you are the solopreneur, you're the small business owner, you're the teacher, you're the educator, you're the student, whatever it might be, being really intentional about figuring out who your audience is, and then designing the experience to make sure that those audiences can see themselves in what you're building, to really make sure that there's something for everyone. And that comes to life through programming, through the workshops that you offer, through the thought leaders that you bring. It comes to life through the on-site experiences, making sure that you're developing and building something that people feel like they can resonate with, that they feel like they can develop that emotional connection to. And I think we really start out by obsessing over 2 questions. Is what we're doing emotionally resonant, and is it product driven, right? Because we always want people to make sure that it feels intentional, it feels relevant. So whether that's like, the creative juices bar, the design your own tote bag station, like I mentioned, I think being hands-on is incredibly important. You're actually designing it. You're not just hearing about it. You're not just having somebody talk at you, but you are doing the thing, making sure that it feels really personalized. And again, really driving that Canva can do that realization, which I think is the most fun thing, because I get to witness firsthand the response that people have when they're on site. And sometimes they may be using Canva for the first time. Sometimes they may be unlocking a new product or tool or feature that they didn't know existed. And I'll be standing at like one of the design stations with someone who's making a tote bag, and, I'll say, we'll part ways, and they'll come back with their printed tote bag. And I'll be like, Jimmy, look what I did. Like, look, this is my tote bag. And like, that's just seeing people from all walks of life do that, grown men to students. It's just really, it's exciting, and it's so fulfilling to get to see that immediate emotional response to something that the attendee created, and they take it home and they give it to their kid, they give it to their mom, they give it to their wife, whomever it might be. And just that feeling you get from knowing that they're going to look back at that tote bag and remember that process of designing, or what that experience was like, or how it made them feel in that moment, is something that, even some of the most strategic, thoughtful marketing levers can't do. You don't get that from a paid social post or performance marketing. And I think that's what's so special about experiential. It is one of the few functions in the marketing org that can really make you feel something. And I think that's incredibly important.
So special, so special. And you're right, because whenever I see the bag, it brings me back in time. It's almost like...
Totally.
Yeah. Okay, Canva Create, I'm sure there's a huge cross-functional lift, right, in terms of that, because there's marketing, there's product, and then you have your community team. how do you ensure like everybody comes together to make sure like the experiences are really cohesive?
It is no easy task.
Because I'm sure everybody wants to do their own thing. They have their own ideas, right?
Totally. But to be honest, it's my favorite. It's Canva Create is my favorite project to work on for that exact reason. It is the single largest, most cross-functional project that the company works on. And it's every single team from product to PMM to sales to growth to B2B to experiential campaigns, our Vibe team who like runs our internal, who manages the internal employees and our Canvanauts globally. It touches every single team. And, there's so much that's really special about that, but it also comes with a lot of risks, right? You run the risk of work being done in silos, teams not speaking to each other, things getting lost in translation. And I'm very lucky to work with a team that is so good about making sure that we are so intentional about connecting, about sharing, about breaking down those silos. So whether that's we have our Canva Create core meeting that we host weekly where every single work stream across the entire organization will give their updates, right? We'll run through kind of like what's hot this week, what are blockers, what the team is working on. Slack pops off. I mean, I think at peak Canva Create time, no joke, I think there are close to anywhere between 70 and 75 Slack channels dedicated to Canva Create. And again, that's across every team, every function. So we try and really make sure that we're breaking down communication barriers as much as we can to allow for really open communication, to make sure that the teams are open to collaboration, to helping each other, to unblocking things, to breaking down hurdles where we can. It is no small task, but the team really does just attack it head on. And again, being very intentional about creating space for updates, for collaboration is really what makes a well-oiled machine like Canva Create run so smoothly.
Yeah. I mean, creating space, that's so well said, right? I actually was just reading from one of the experts, even like about hosting meeting. How do you make sure it's intentional? So you're doing all the right things, hitting all the keywords. I love that. And then how about once the big day's over? We are talking about this kind of offline between us and we're like, these are long days and sometimes multiple days or sometimes it could be weeks. Like, how do you keep your energy alive? I mean, every time I meet you, you have a smile on your face. Right? Maybe last time was a little bit more sweaty because we're in Canada friends. But how do you keep your energy alive and just like continue going strong?
Yeah, it's not easy, but honestly, I am so invigorated by the work that we're doing. I am so excited at the challenges that are ahead of us. I'm so empowered by the opportunity. And it's a product that I really believe in. I am certainly chugging the Kool-Aid hard, but Canva really is a product that I think is changing the space. I am so proud of the evolution of the brand over the time that I've been here and that I've been getting to work with the team and do the work that we've been doing. And that really fills my cup, like to the top, truly. I'm not just saying that, like it really is what keeps me going. And, not even hours after Canva Create ends, like I'm getting a text message from Mel and she's like, I had this idea. And it's usually coming from something that happened that day or what we want to do next. And like, I live for that. I'm like, bring it on. Like, let's start talking Create 2026 now, just stepping off stage. Like, let's start thinking about what's next. Let's build, let's keep going. Let's push further. Let's do more. Let's keep throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks. And I think it's also this sense of we are constantly innovating. We are trying new things. We are going into new areas. We're exploring different territories. We are being bold and creative in the work that we do. And it's hard to get bored of that. I mean, certainly it's tiring. It is exhausting for sure, but it's incredibly rewarding and incredibly fulfilling at the same time.
Wow. Oh my gosh. You have such great mindset in the sense that you were saying like Mel already texting you, even like during the event where as soon as after the event, some people say, oh my gosh, let me have a break first. Right. Yeah. But you take it like head on, like, yeah, bring it on. And you're excited about it. I think that itself is, you look at your work differently. So I love that for you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a lot. And like I said earlier, Canva it is rocket ship growth at the moment. We are just like going up and up and up. And it's kind of like, yeah, buckle up and like hang on for dear life and enjoy the ride. And that's very much the mentality I've taken. It feels like a once in a lifetime opportunity for me, for the folks on the team, doing the work that we're doing at the moment in time that we're doing it feels so special. And I don't want to take a single moment of that for granted.
And then you lead such a creative team, like really, really creative, because some of your concepts I'm always just super wowed by. What is your approach then in nurturing this culture, right? You talk about like throwing spaghetti on the wall. Like, how do you keep the ideas flowing? Do you guys just have a whiteboard where you throw ideas on the wall all the time? Or how do you kind of spark that?
Yeah, I mean, again, you talk about challenges of working at a company that is on such a rocket ship trajectory, and for a team that is truly churning out events left, right, and center, right? I won't sugarcoat the fact that it's hard to make sure that we are maintaining a healthy work-life balance, which is easier said than done a lot of times, right? But being intentional about making space for creativity, for innovation. I think it's really easy to get stuck into repetitive behavior, especially when we do something or execute on an experience that was really successful, right? It's like, okay, cool, double down, do that again, get those, it's been proven to be successful. We've got the results. Let's just rinse and repeat and keep going. Yeah. But that's not what really makes our team tick, right? We want to take the learnings from what we did, and we want to take little bits and pieces from here and there and like put them together into something totally new over here, and innovate in different ways and expand our creative and do things that, people either thought were impossible or we never thought we could do. And it's not easy when you're working in an environment where there's limited bandwidth, there's limited resources, there's limited headcount, and we've kind of got to put our heads down and do the work. But where I do think we create space for that is, we meet weekly as a team. We call ourselves the Dream Team. So we've got our Dream Team weekly meetings where we make sure we're getting together. We are sharing challenges with each other. We're sharing insights about what we're learning from different parts of the business. We connect on individuals that we've met, unlocks that we've had, whether that's working with product or a product marketing team or sales, ways to help each other to continue to innovate. And we always make sure that we're leaving some space for dreaming, right? We're always thinking about what's next. We're always brainstorming. We're always jotting down one-pagers of ideas that come to us that we want to execute someday. And of course, working with really great agency partners to help to bring that all to life. I really value the external relationships that we've built that help power our team and help push us to continue doing big, bold, creative work. And I think all those things combined really help to hopefully foster this culture of, collaboration and creative bravery, of joy, hopefully, but of being really proud of the work that we're putting out. Yeah, it's really important. And for me, I think the energy is contagious, but at the end of the day, I think it's rooted in trust, ambition, heart, and that's what makes the team tick at the end of the day.
Amazing. I love that. The Dream Team. Okay, I'm going to remember that.
Dream Team.
Yeah. As we wrap up the episode, I know it's so quick, but for someone who's just starting out in events or experiential marketing, what is the one piece of advice that you wish to parlay on them today?
Yeah. I would say build your taste, experience a lot, get out there, do things, be open to new experiences, be open to trying new things, be curious, be excited about what's out there in the world, be inquisitive, and experience. Understand what makes you feel something, what makes you tick, what helps to develop that emotional resonance or that emotional connection for you, and reverse engineer it, right? So almost bottle up that feeling and think about how you can reverse engineer that into the work that you're doing, whether that's for a brand, whether you're working with different partners, whatever that may be. Keep asking, how did this make me feel? I truly believe emotion is the greatest ROI that one can have, especially from experiential. And I think harnessing that energy and incorporating it into the work is the best thing that one can do.
Oh my gosh, I love it. This is such a great way to wrap up. Thank you, Jimmy, for really taking us behind the scenes today on some of Canva's biggest moments. I really can't wait to see what you and your team does next. And whether it's this year, I'm sure you're already on to like your next 10 events and planning for 2026 also. And definitely let me know about Canva Create when you're back in Los Angeles. I definitely want to make sure I pop over this time around.
I most certainly will. And thank you, Amanda, so much. And hope you will certainly see us out on the road in October. The Canva World Tour kicks off in 14 cities across the US and programming hubs in London, Manila, and Sydney, setting out with the goal of training and educating 1 million people on Canva in the month of October. So look out for the Canva brand wagon on the road in the US. That's what's next up for us.
Oh, that's incredible. Okay, I'll be on the lookout. Thank you so much for joining us. EventUp is powered by Innovate Marketing Group, your go-to partner for unforgettable events and experiences. Discover how we bring brands to life at innovatemkg.com. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to leave us a rating and review. It helps more listeners like you find the show and keeps the inspiration going.
Thank you for listening. Tune in next time on EventUp.